primary school teacher is being sentenced for murdering her boyfriend and burying him in their back garden.
Mr. Foden, unfortunately I need to arrest you on suspicion of sexual touching of a child and sexual communications with a child.
Right.
The former teacher has been jailed for more than 6 years for having sex with 2 pupils.
Do not touch
Get your hands out of your pocket.
No, do not touch me. Take that off.
Stop.
Take that off me now.
Belonging to a caring profession, teachers are in a position of trust and responsibility, being subject, in order to even enter a classroom, to all manner of checks, from a police clearance to social media scrutiny. A teacher understandably carries a public expectation of honesty and, as I say, trustworthiness. Killing your partner to get your own back on him, stabbing your ex in the middle of a busy street for dumping you, and battering a colleague of yours with a spanner in front of both pupils and staff for shagging the same teacher that you've been sleeping with, despite being a married father of 3 and despite being the head teacher, aren't quite the things that we expect from those in whom we entrust our children's education, our country's whole future. Now viewer, if I've got you hooked on the story so far, do subscribe, give the video a like, drop a comment when you're ready and donate. Hit the thanks button below, I'll appreciate you. On the 19th of March 2022, the partially mummified body of a 42-year-old male was found in a makeshift grave in the garden of a house on Moore Street, Northampton, England. A post-mortem on the decaying body determined that the cause of death was a stab wound to the right-hand side of the man's neck, splitting the right jugular vein and piercing the esophagus and the trachea. With an entry width of 3.7 centimetres and a depth of 6 centimetres, the stab had to have been executed with a substantial degree of force. After careful analysis, the body was eventually confirmed as belonging to a local man named Nick Billingham. Nick hadn't been seen since November 2021. Who did this builder and father of one in and why? 48-year-old primary school teacher Fiona Beal was a well-liked and highly respected teacher at Eastfield Primary Academy, Northampton. Claire Mills, the head teacher, described Fiona as a strong and capable professional whose key strength was her ability to build relationships with children who needed additional support. On the 1st of November 2021, Fiona rang in sick, triggering an absence of hers of more than 10 days. Her claim, however, that both she and her live-in boyfriend of 17 years, a 42-year-old by the name of Nick Billingham, had contracted COVID-19 and were required to self-isolate, turned out to be total codswallop. In the months prior to this point, Nick and Fiona had been undergoing relationship counselling for a multitude of reasons, a particularly important one being Nick's confession to having fathered a child with another woman. On this point, in fact, Nick was a serial cheat, and Fiona had long since become aware of this. Notwithstanding, in this same phase of time, Nick wrote about Fiona as kind-hearted, generous, and stated that she was the most beautiful woman in the world. He seemed, moreover, to feel genuine remorse for the said infidelity of his. That said, when, in spring 2020, the pandemic struck, Nick and his girlfriend were both furloughed and, like so many others, they were confined to their home. This triggered constant rowing between the two, relating to matters of sex, money, and just about everything else in between. The very day that Fiona called in sick at work, Nick had been out working on a house renovation, while Fiona herself had stayed at home and smoked a substantial quantity of WEED. Can't quite say it as it should be said, in case YouTube, how shall I put it, demonetises this video. And I'll say now that there are further words in the course of this video that I have to disguise for the same reason. When Fiona's boyfriend returned, Fiona got him to take the hot bath that she had prepared for him while promising him sexual intimacy afterwards. On finishing his very relaxing bath and entering the bedroom, Nick found his girlfriend draped over the bed waiting for him. After settling himself onto the bed, he happily put on the eye mask that his evidently very horny and, in this moment, delightfully seductive girlfriend offered him. Similarly, he made no objection when Fiona asked to tie him to the bed to fulfill a kinky fantasy that had come to her. trussed to the bed and blindfolded then, Nick had no defence whatsoever against his girlfriend's subsequent act of jabbing the knife that she had been hiding in her dressing gown pocket into his neck with ferocity and rage. In a state of physical agony and mental shock, Nick was no less able to breathe the question, why? Fiona duly explained, like the savage psychopath that she was, that she would never let him hurt another woman again. The minutes that it took Nick to actually die were minutes, as I've said, of sheer agony, his girlfriend, to remind you, having severed his jugular vein. After wrapping Nick's body in a plastic sheet, Fiona dragged the corpse downstairs, damaging the banisters in the process, and then lugged the body out into the garden. While she left it in an area that was mainly out of the view of her neighbours, it was no less highly inconvenient for her that her neighbours were undergoing home renovations at the time, drastically reducing her garden's privacy. All the same, the killer proceeded to dig what can only be described as a makeshift grave made of plastic sheets, badly mixed concrete, breeze blocks and compost. Finding, after using up all those materials, that she hadn't bought enough of them to fill the hole, she promptly headed down to her local B&Q to buy 10 50-litre bags of compost, 10 22.5 kilogram bags of Cotswold stone and a grey plastic trough. On completing Nick's burial, she then painted over his blood splatters, which had been left all over the bedroom. She then rearranged furniture in the living room to block the view of his grave, and then burned Nick's belongings out in the garden. Nick's blood had seeped into the mattress during the murder, so Fiona dumped the thing in the basement. Now feeling confident that nobody would suspect that her boyfriend had been murdered in his home by none other than her herself, Fiona embarked on her well-rehearsed cover-up of Nick's disappearance. The second her dead boyfriend's family and friends started asking where Nick was, Fiona told them that he had left her for another woman, a story which, initially at least, the man's family and friends didn't doubt, given their knowledge of Nick's infidelity. Fiona reinforced her cover story by sending messages from Nick's phone to his friends and family, pretending to be the man himself and reassuring everyone that he was fine. To add to her sick and deceitful nature, Fiona would invite Nick's very mother around for drinks and tell her stories, while her son's decomposing body lay only a few metres away outside. During the months that Fiona spent in her job after returning to it on the 12th of November 2021, nobody noticed any difference in her behaviour. She seemed entirely normal. Shortly after the 8th of March 2022, however, the head of her school, Claire Mills, you may recall, requested the police to perform a welfare check on Fiona. Having called Fiona's mother and learned that the reason that Fiona had given her for her sudden disappearance was completely different to the reason that she had, on the 8th of March itself, given for that at work, Claire had immediately grown beset with worry. In contradiction to what Fiona had told her mother, you see, Fiona was not away on any residential course that she, Claire that is, had authorised. It sounded to Claire like the explanation for her absence that Fiona had given her, namely, things not, quote, being right, unquote, was much closer to the truth. When both Claire and Fiona's mother naturally confronted Fiona about her two stories, Fiona told them that she was fleeing. On March the 15th, police, who had, days earlier, found Fiona's home empty, found the killer holed up in a holiday home in Cumbria. After packing the woman off to hospital, in view of the suicide attempt that they rapidly discovered that she had made, police found, in their search of the cabin where she'd been staying, an extremely concerning journal. In this piece of writing, Fiona confessed her appalling act against her boyfriend, saying, quote, "He spat on me and threatened me during sex. The things he said and did fueled my dark side. I call her Tulip 22. She's reckless, fearless and efficient, ruthless. I started plotting as Tulip 22 after he had gone to bed. November the 1st. I had smoked all day. While he was in the bath, I kept the knife in my dressing gown pocket and then hid it in the drawer next to the bed. Hiding his body was bad. Moving a body is much more difficult than it looks on TV." Unquote. As you might imagine, this piece of writing soon led police to Nick Billingham's improvised grave, situated in his girlfriend's very back garden. In fact, it was the garden of a home that they shared and jointly owned. After changing her initial not guilty plea to the charge of murder to a guilty plea, on the 30th of May 2024, Fiona got 20 years. A stupidly soft sentence, if you ask me.
A detailed schedule of events spanning the period from the 27th of October 2021 through to March 2022 shows your planning, how you acted to fulfil that plan, and it sets out the details of the deception you engaged in after the killing. In her victim impact statement, Nick's mother, Yvonne Valentine, speaks of her loss. Nick was aged 42 at the date of his death. Nick was, in her words, and I quote, "my beautiful little boy with a cheeky smile." Nick was so loved by his family, his friends and work colleagues. My mother, Nick's grandmother, had to endure the news that you had killed her firstborn grandchild just weeks before her own death. And I witnessed the impact of this news on her as I watched my mother's health decline and die with a broken heart, all caused by you. All you cared about was your own self-preservation and doing anything in your power to show Nick in a bad light. I've had to listen to evidence from professionals as to what they believe you did, how you planned everything and your actions in the minutes after you killed Nick. You showed no regret in your actions and instead went online using Nick's money to purchase cleaning, replacement items to cover up that you had killed him. You brought everything you used to bury him with his own money, which I find diabolical and disgusting.
On the 26th of February 2024, in the middle of a street in the town of Bath, England, and in broad daylight, a 28-year-old man stabbed a 24-year-old woman approximately 15 times for dumping him. The victim, Emma Kirk, a teacher, had agreed to meet the perpetrator after telling him that their relationship was over in order to return the gifts that he had given her. This was the moment when Matthew Joynes, a teacher himself and a former university friend of the victim, attacked her. At trial at Bristol Crown Court, the defendant denied charges of attempted murder and having an article with a blade or point in a public place, but he admitted to GBH, grievous bodily harm with intent. Sam Jones, prosecuting, said that the defendant produced a knife and that, as Miss Kirk tried to run away, he grabbed her hair and pulled her to the ground. The attack was sustained and repeated and involved him stabbing her in the neck, face and head, the prosecutor said. While on the ground, he stabbed her 15 times in a brutal and frenzied attack. Witnesses described him as a man possessed. Both of her lungs were punctured. She tried to fight back and suffered multiple wounds to her hands as she grabbed at the blade. But for the way that she fought back, and but for the bravery of others, she would have been killed. He stabbed her multiple times to the neck, one of the most vulnerable parts of the human body. It took 5 men to drag the defendant off her and disarm him of the knife. Even then, he continued to try and grab Emma and tried to strangle her when he was being pulled back. That, by the way, was all a quotation. An off-duty police officer, members of the public and paramedics went to assist Miss Kirk in the lane close to Dransfield Way, which is where the attack of course took place, and administered first aid. Mr. Jones commented that, quote, "But for those actions, Emma's life would have been lost. She had suffered life-threatening injuries as a result of the defendant's attack on her," unquote. Eyewitnesses filmed the aftermath of the attack, and Miss Kirk can be heard saying, quote, "I'm going to die," unquote. Emma Kirk made it clear that she no longer wanted a relationship with Matthew. She described him as having an unhealthy obsession with her, and she clearly wasn't mistaken. However, Matthew couldn't take no for an answer and decided that if Emma didn't want to be with him, she wouldn't be with anyone else either. In WhatsApp messages, Emma told Matthew that he was pressurising her and that he made her feel uncomfortable. She said, quote, "I feel that you're trying to scare or blackmail me into seeing you," unquote. Matthew later told the police that it was Emma who had brought the knife to the scene and that he had taken it away from her during a struggle in which they both ended up on the floor. Matthew is due to go back on trial for the said charges on the 24th of March 2025, since in his trial of September 2024, the jury failed to reach a verdict. If he's guilty, which I personally 100% believe he is, let him fucking rot in prison. As at the time of this recording, the 15th of March 2025, the case of Dr. Anthony John Felton, 54, head teacher of St James Catholic School in Aberavon, South Wales, is hot off the press. Shortly before attacking his deputy, Richard Pike, 51, with a spanner no less, in their very school on the 5th of March 2025, Dr. Felton emailed colleagues saying, "I'm sorry for the distress which the rest of today will bring." Emergency services would arrive at the school at 9:50 a.m. that day, a number of pupils and staff having seen Dr. Felton repeatedly whacking Mr. Pike on the head with the said spanner. It turns out, you understand, that the teacher at the school with whom Dr. Felton, a married father of 3, had been having an affair, was sleeping with at least one other staff member, whose name you can probably guess. The teacher, who we'll call Linda, wasn't in school on the date of Dr. Felton's attack on Mr. Pike. Dr. Felton outlined in the said email of his to his staff that, quote, "The greatest mistake I made was appointing Linda in various roles. She has stepped her way to the top, currently engaging in sexual activity with at least 2 current members of the SLT, that senior leadership team, including Richard Pike. I'm sorry for the distress that the rest of the day will bring. I am sorry. You are good people and do an amazing job for our community. Goodbye, John," unquote. It's clear from this email that not only had Dr. Felton planned his assault on his colleague, but had also anticipated what perpetrating that attack would mean for his career at least. In line with this, following the former head teacher's immediate arrest, the man's solicitor, Mark Davies, has said that Dr. Felton plans to plead guilty to GBH, grievous bodily harm, with intent at Swansea Crown Court on the 7th of April 2025. Fortunately, Pike, who was rushed to hospital moments after Dr. Felton's attack on him, didn't suffer life-threatening injuries and was rapidly discharged from hospital. He hasn't been back at work, however. For me, all this gives rise to the following question. Is Linda pretty? Why someone with a job as a so-called superhead, which means that they're effectively head of not 1 but 2 or more schools, and on a salary naturally that reflects that, would need to borrow 900 quid from someone for home improvements is beyond me personally. For now though, understand that on the 1st of July 2024, Neil Foden, a 66-year-old former head teacher from Old Colwyn, North Wales, was sentenced to 17 years in prison after being found guilty of no fewer than 19 charges relating to his xual abuse of 4 teenage girls, all of whom having been pupils at the school that he led. Understand also that Foden's career of xual abuse against teenage girls, which ran from 2019 to 2023, could have been stopped before it even got started. I'll remind you now about my need to disguise certain words because of YouTube's rules. With a proven record of exam success at one school, Isgall Friars in Gwynedd County, Foden was subsequently appointed executive head teacher or super head teacher of a nearby failing school in order to transform it. Holding a senior post in the biggest trade union for teachers, that's the NEU, National Education Union, and making frequent appearances on both local and national TV and radio over many, many years, Foden was a notably high-profile figure in the local community who was known, say some, for his charisma and for his gritty determination to keep his school a success. Now, getting E, the first of his 4 victims, to lend him 900 quid to have his bathroom done up and then never repaying her was, arguably, the very least of his many offences against her. The two once had SHX on the bonnet of his car, no less, during which he restrained her with his belt and called her his SHX toy. The two had SHX in other places as well, including, presumably, at the hotels where the two would stay when Foden was away at one conference or another. Foden would often take E with him to such events, you understand. A meanwhile, whose period of abuse from Foden was substantially shorter than E's, but whose disclosures to the police led to Foden's arrest on the 6th of September 2023, reports that after driving her to some remote country lane, as he often did, Foden would make her consume vast amounts of water. Foden was looking to satisfy his piss fetish, you see, and after literally overfeeding his victim with water, he would press the lower part of her abdomen in order to apply a sufficient amount of pressure to her bladder to get her to piss. Don't let me mislead you though, from hugging A to hissing her to grow hoping her intimately and to having SHEX with her, Foden SHEXually abused her. Foden was controlling, callous and vastly arrogant. Due to both his success and his fame as an educator and leader, he clearly considered himself bulletproof. He was, above all, someone who was used to winning. In the witness doc, he told the court that, due to a medical condition, he was in fact unable to have SHEX. Equally, he was in no way faced by either the screenshots of his explicit WhatsApp messages with his victims or the DNA belonging to him and to E that was found on a pair of lace handcuffs that he had in his car, or the CCTV footage showing him getting his victims into his car and then driving off with them, or the descriptions from his victims themselves of his fondness for holding their hands, talking dirty to them, and of course graping them. It was all a stitch-up, you see. Foden was, in his own words, not guilty. In his subsequent police interviews, however, Foden had recourse to his right to silence.
In some of the statements I've read, like an air of arrogance or control about you where you just think possibly you're better than everyone else and you're untouchable. Is that what it is? No comment. And that you weren't going to get found out? No comment. No comment. No comment. No comment.
The reason that Foden's predatory behaviour towards teenage girls was neither prevented nor interrupted on the 4 opportunities that there were for prevention or interruption between 2014 and 2020 are that Foden ruled by fear and by vindictiveness. At some point between 2014 and 2018, a science teacher, Simon Wilson, won £8,000 in an employment tribunal following a sustained campaign of harassment and bullying against him led by Foden. On reporting around September 2014 to the senior staff of the school, which naturally includes the head teacher, that the results for science at GCSE were possibly being misrepresented, Mr. Wilson found all his best classes being taken away from him. He was suddenly, likewise, being brought up on disciplinary charges that were totally made up. The consequence that Foden suffered as a result of his 2018 employment tribunal, which was in fact a separate tribunal to the one relating to Mr. Wilson, was finding himself being deemed autocratic and divisive, and that was it. In 2020, Foden was kicked out of the NEU, the teaching union where he held a senior post. This was due to Foden's having been found guilty of unacceptable professional conduct by the education regulator, the TRA, Teacher Regulation Agency. This had, of course, come as a result of the continued complaints from staff of bullying, harassment and victimisation from Foden. And yet, despite both these events, that is, Foden's having been kicked out of the NEU and having a black mark against his name at the TRA, Foden was invited to take charge of a second school in his local area that was in drastic need of a turnaround. Foden's appointment as executive head at a second school came from the head of education at Gwynedd Council, Garham Jackson. This, however, was the same Garham Jackson who, the year before, 2019, had responded to a complaint of inappropriate behaviour between Foden and a pupil by ringing Foden up and telling him to behave. Mr. Jackson, in fact, kept no written record of the report that was brought to him by a senior teacher that said that Mr. Foden had got E into his car and then put his arms around her and hugged her. At Foden's trial, Mr. Jackson explained his failure to act by citing that a safeguarding officer had told him that since no complaints or allegations had actually been made against Foden, there wouldn't be an investigation. Now, this confuses me at least. Did Mr. Jackson mean that no complaints had been made by the alleged victim, Child E herself? If not, Did the report from the senior teacher that was made to Mr. Jackson not amount to either a complaint or an allegation? You know, the trial judge himself condemned Mr. Jackson's failure to investigate Foden in response to that report. He said that the allegations had been dismissed out of hand. Shortly after Foden's arrest, Mr. Jackson left his post as head of cation at the local council for, quote, personal reasons, unquote. Foden is twice married and has adult children. Whenever he's released, he'll be on the SHE-X offenders register for life and he'll never be able to work with children again. Given his age though, the man could well die in prison. 3 days after former head teacher Neil Foden got his 17 years for child you-know-what offences, Rebecca Joynes, a former maths teacher, got 6.5 years for her own. Joynes was convicted of 6 counts of child SA offences relating to 2 individuals, the number of counts and victims in her case explaining why she got a much shorter sentence than Foden. Joynes, 30 years old, was sentenced on the 4th of July 2024.
Hi, we're looking for Rebecca.
Yeah, it's me.
Yeah, we're going to come in for a second.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not sure how much you know what's going on, but my colleague's just got something that she needs to see.
Yeah.
So obviously, given what's happened, I know you've been sent home from school today, so you are under arrest at the moment on suspicion of sexual activity with a child. You do not have to say anything, but it may hang your defence if you do not mention one question, something which you later line in court.
In a maths lesson on the 11th of October 2021, Joynes gave a 15-year-old boy, who we'll call A, her phone number. This facilitated their subsequent single out-of-school liaison, which took place on Friday the 15th of October 2021. This one liaison, however, which included Joynes treating the boy to a shopping trip where she bought him a £345 Gucci belt and then taking him back to her flat and having SHE-X with him, was all it took for Joynes to become a PDF file. Joynes' arrest for her SA of A came the very Monday after her act. It was triggered by the abundant salacious rumours against her at her school, which began the second school started that day and which promptly triggered her immediate suspension. In early 2024, Joynes gave birth to a baby girl. His father is boy B, the second of Joynes' victims. Joynes embarked on her illicit relationship with the 15-year-old boy B, which was to last all of 18 months, shortly after getting bail after being charged with offences relating to boy A. She obviously paid no attention to the bail condition of hers that said that she was, under no circumstances, to have any unsupervised contact with anyone under the age of 18, her first occasion of SHE-X with B coming on the 4th of February 2022, around a week after the boy's 16th birthday. It would also seem that Joynes was still grieving the ending of her 9-year relationship with a man that came about when she was 28. This, she says, was her explanation for her revolting behaviour towards boy A and boy B. Boy B, for his part, understandably enough, takes no comfort whatsoever from this explanation. In his victim impact statement, which was read to the jury during the trial, he said, quote, "I have replayed a lot of things in my head and spoken to a lot of people, and it has made me realise the full extent of the abuse carried out on me and the tactics that were used to do so. I was coerced, controlled, manipulated, sexually abused and mentally abused," unquote. I'm curious about the language that he used there. It doesn't sound like the sort of natural language that the average 16-year-old would use. It sounds like it was a script written by someone else for him to recite, but that's just my conjecture. Anyway, when boy B originally gave evidence, he was still in love with his former teacher. He said, quote, "I struggled to come to terms with my abuse. I was in total denial. I felt as though I had betrayed someone I loved," unquote. Less than 24 hours after giving birth, Joynes had her baby daughter confiscated from her under a care order. She has since been allowed 3 supervised visits a week from her, while boy B, whose family has custody of the child, laments that his daughter returns from those visits, quote, smelling of its mother, unquote. Like Foden, Joynes will be on the SHE ex-offenders register for life and will, of course, never be allowed to work with children again. A former junior school head teacher, 49-year-old Gregory Hill, who, in September 2024, was jailed for 20 weeks for harassing a young colleague and who, like all the other teachers portrayed in this presentation, has brought shame on the teaching profession, at least gave us all a highly entertaining arrest video. I'll show you the footage in a bit. Over 12 months, the former head of Howard Junior School in Kings Lynn, Cambridgeshire, repeatedly messaged a newly qualified teacher at his school using school social media accounts. Claiming to be in love with the woman, Hill messaged her on one occasion to say, "I'd love to build a future for us in school and outside of school, kiss kiss." He also pressurised, controlled and isolated the trainee from other members of staff. That's what the court was told. In a statement, the victim described Hill's messages as, quote, "a constant drain on me, both mentally and physically. He was always hounding me with messages and emails late at night. I started to struggle with sleeping and would have nightmares," unquote. She also said that Hill's behaviour towards her has completely changed her as a person and doesn't know whether she'll ever return to the person that she used to be. She was always worried that Hill was watching her, basically, and this led to her developing a fear of seeing him when she was out and about. Hill is, in fact, none other than a former police officer, special constable to be exact. Despite that, along with his 20-week sentence, he was also sentenced to a 4-year stalking protection order, which prohibits him from contacting the trainee or entering her place of work, along with other restrictions around his use of social media and mobile phones. I don't quite know why the stalking protection order isn't forever. Anyway, as for his conviction for resisting arrest, meanwhile, his arrest having taken place, eventually that is, on the 6th of March 2023, sit back and have a good laugh at this.
I haven't stalked anyone or done anything, but I do need to find my union. I need to go inside, I need to find my union. No, I'm sorry, but I'm legally entitled.
Mr. Hill, one of your rights.
Listen,
I'm not assaulting you.
You are under arrest.
You're under arrest. I don't listen. We are giving you professional courtesy.
We are inside?
Listen, please listen. We have given you professional courtesy.
I agree,
we have
can I just go inside?
We have not come in police uniform.
Just say okay. But listen,
one of your legal
rights
is to have a phone call, and that can be the
just take your hand off me.
You were starting to walk away, sir. Right, you are under arrest.
Just take your hand off me first of all. Just take your hand off me.
You were causing a scene, and we didn't want to do that.
That's fine. I'm not causing a scene.
My colleagues are going to take you.
You could have waited in school.
We are in plain clothes and we wanted to wait outside because we didn't want to go into the school in front of all of your staff.
I have done nothing wrong. I've been assaulted by a police officer. She's touched my arm and
It's an allegation, okay?
An allegation. I've been assaulted. I want to go inside and just ring my union.
You will not be going inside, Mr. Hill, okay?
Okay, but I haven't done anything wrong.
That's fine. We will talk to you about this at interview.
And you could have done this at my house. You didn't need to come to my school to do this. I'm sorry, but this is totally unacceptable. I've got it recorded here. I've been assaulted. Can I have your number, please?
Yeah, of course you can. It's all going to be on the detention log. So
can you tell me your number, please?
The reason why I took hold of you is because you started to walk away.
I haven't walked away. I'm still by my car. Could you just turn around the camera, please? I'm going to start filming now because you can see I'm still by my car. No, don't touch my phone. No, don't touch my phone. Don't touch my phone.
Calm down.
No, don't touch my phone. Don't touch my phone. Don't touch my phone. Don't touch my phone. Do not touch
Get your hand out of your pocket.
No, do not touch me. Take that off.
Stop.
Take that off me now.
Mr. Hill,
take that off me now.
On the floor, and we don't want that. Come on.
Just calm yourself down. We are trying to do this. Let go of the handcuff.
Take that off me. Take that off me. Do not put your. You're going to break my finger. You're going to break my finger.
Let go of the handcuff.
You're going to break my finger.
Let go of the handcuff.
You're going to break my finger.
Let go of the handcuff.
You're going to break my finger.
We've got another set of
handcuffs.
handcuffs.
At the moment, we're going to be right. You're going to be further arrested for resisting arrest now.
I'm not resisting arrest because I've
You
done nothing wrong.
You're holding onto the handcuffs. You are already under arrest, okay? Calm yourself down.
What do you need to go to the car for?
Yeah, that's fine. Just let me go.
I'm going to search you now.
I haven't.
You're getting put in handcuffs as well now because you've been.
You're not doing that in front of my parents. You're not doing that in front of my parents.
You've made this happen, Mr. Hill.
I haven't made this happen. I'm by my car. They're trying to assault me. Please, please, if you're watching this video, don't let them delete it.
Mr. Hill.
Don't let them delete this video. Don't let them delete this video.
Oh, goodness.
Please, I need to make a phone call to the police. You're assaulting. You're hurting my wrists. You're going to break my wrists. You're going to break my wrists.
Calm yourself down.
No. You assaulted me. I haven't done nothing wrong.
Greg,
I haven't done nothing wrong.
It's an allegation at the moment.
You take it off me. It's an allegation. You can't arrest me. No.
Struggling.
No. You're gonna have to break all my arms and legs. I haven't done anything. You don't have to humiliate me in front of my school. You don't have to. You've just done my job in.
Let's get you up.
No.
There's no need to be laying on the floor.
No.
Let's stand you up. Let's get you off the
No.
wet floor and get you in the car.
I'm an asthmatic. You're going to give me a heart attack.
Yeah.
You're
Right,
gonna
so
bloody
sit
kill
yourself
me.
up.
You're going to kill me.
No.
No.
You're holding on to
No.
the bush.
I haven't done anything. No.
Greg.
No. You're assaulting me. Ah! Help me! Please, somebody call the police. Help me, they're breaking my arms. Help me, please. Help me, please. Help me, somebody, please!
Right, we're going to have to get Mark's card here.
I don't care, I've done nothing wrong! Help me, please! Call the police! Please call the police! Call the inspector!
Another unit?
Please!
Can we get a van?
Please! I've been assaulted! I want your badge number!
Absolutely,
You've assaulted me!
You can have all the badge numbers you need.
I don't...
There's no need! This is just
my arm!
now.
I can't feel my arm!
Greg,
You've broken my watch!
Greg!
Ah! Ah!
Greg, listen!
That's
Greg! 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 We're going to take your watch off.
Your behaviour is poor at best.
Look, listen.
Oh, your behaviour's poor, you absolute vile man!
Greg,
Oh.
can you listen to me? I'm going to take your watch off so it doesn't get damaged.
Take these handcuffs off
Right,
me now.
let me take this off.
Then I'm not going to go anywhere.
What? Well, you are going to be coming with us, mate, because you've been placed under
Yeah,
arrest.
popped it on.
But we want to get you up off the wet floor.
Don't
let's
take
do
away
it.
my watch
I
and I'll
don't
bloody
like
sue
you.
you for it. You leave me alone.
Taking it off so
You
it
leave me
doesn't
alone.
get damaged. Stop it. I'm taking it off so it doesn't get
I haven't
damaged.
done
Let
anything.
me go.
I haven't done anything.
Greg, just let go of the watch so we don't
Leave
damage
me alone.
Mr. Hill, please let go.
We don't want to damage your watch, so you're going to need to let go of it.
Mr. Hill,
There
thank
go.
you.
Thank you. Can we sit you up?
Can we
Greg?
sit you up, Greg? Come on.
Well, you said you're asthmatic, so we want to get you up so that we don't get injured or anything like that.
Mr. Hill, can we get you to sit up, please?
Come on, it's wet on the floor. We want to get you up.
Right.
Relax.
Please call an ambulance. Please call an ambulance. I've been assaulted.
Greg!
No. Please call an ambulance. Please go.
Stop fighting yourself. Stop fighting.
Mr. Hill, you need to calm down, please, okay?
Why do you just move your legs? We're just going to move him away from the bush. Greg, we're going to roll you away from the bush.
We're going to roll you away.
Do not kick out. Do not kick.
Don't touch me.
Do not kick.
My wrist. My wrist.
Relax, Greg.
No. I haven't done anything wrong. I buy my car.
And you
You've
know what?
assaulted me
Nobody said
terribly.
you have.
You've
This is an
assaulted. You're trying to get out of it. You don't do this to somebody with an allegation.
I've got everything.
Don't leave me alone now.
No, listen.
No, it doesn't work. You leave me alone.
Look, we're trying to talk to you nicely. We're trying to get you
Try to talk to me nicely. I'm covered in dirt. I've been assaulted. I got my wrist broken. I got my thumb broken. And you're trying to be nice. I want this recorded in court.
It is recorded.
It is all recorded.
Then you're going to get a sack over this. I'm going to go to professional standards. I used to be a police officer myself, you idiot.
Okay.
I used to be a special constable for years with no further sergeant with everything. You do
Greg,
not
let's
know.
get you up on your feet.
Right, come on.
Get you up.
No, just don't.
Right, how would you like...
Careful, you don't want to go in the bush.
No, I'm not going in the bush.
Oh, no, don't cling
Hill.
onto the bush. It's not a good idea.
Right, Mr. Hill, come on.
Put your feet out of the bush.
Come on, don't cling onto the bush.
Do not kick. Do not kick.
Right, you are.
We're away from the bush now.
Let's get you up.
Come on.
Sit up.
Come on, 1,
2, 3.
Oh, we'll just carry you then. Carry. 1, ready?
Oh, no. Come on, Mr. Hill, this is ridiculous.
Give him a chance.
I'm not. I'm protecting my health. I'm ill and I can't get off the ground.
Mr. Hill.
I've got asthma and I can't get off. Until you're going to hurt me. No.
Open your eyes and let's sit you up.
No.
You can take some deep breaths and then you can walk over instead of being carried over.
Come on.
Listen.
No.
You're working yourself up here,
No,
mate.
you should have done that to me.
Mr. Hill, come on.
Okay, well...
You've committed an offence yourself and now you've
thank you.
assaulted me. You're in the wrong.
Oh, don't be rude. Do you want to let go of the bush?
Don't be rude.
Let go of this bush, Mr. Hill.
Right, what are you?
Mr. Hill, come on. This is ridiculous.
Come on. I've had enough now. Let's go of the bush.
You'll have to break all my arms and legs.
The bush can go with it.
Because I haven't done anything and I'm not moving.
Well, you can tell us all of that if you just stand up and come with us, can't you?
Watch his head.
I'm dropping. Who's resisting? Stop. Mr. Hill, this is unnecessary.
I can't breathe.
Sit up. This is ridiculous.
Sit up, because if you can't breathe, you need to sit up, don't you? Or we'll just put you in the recovery position then, and we'll just leave you on. Come on. Come on, Greg. Come on. You can get checked out by the medic once you get to custody. It would just be a lot easier if you did just walk.
There's nothing wrong, you have to kill
I'm not
me.
saying you have, but there's an accusation which we need to
Yeah,
investigate.
you don't do this to people. You virtually.
Right.
This is evil and wrong. It's just discrimination. That's all
Is there
it is.
anything I can reasonably say or do so you'll get in the van or a police car?
You could have just come into
that's
school
not
and
the question,
spoke to me. No, you should have just come into school and spoke to me.
We tried to do this, Mr. Hill. We did try to do
You never
this.
did this. You just
No, absolutely not. I refused you to use your mobile phone.
You're lying.
And then you put yourself on the floor.
No, you're lying. God almighty, you are such a liar. Unbelievable.
Mr. Hill,
What's
this
your badge
is really
number?
1908.
Right, 190 is a complete and utter lie, and I hate police corruption. That's one of the worst things I hate.
Mr. Hill.
I've been on to professional standards at Wyndham.
Mr. Hill, you can either choose to get in the van or we can bring some more units down here and we can carry you
That's
in
up
there.
to
It's
you,
your
but
choice.
then you're deprived
Okay.
Kingsley of cover, and that is just ridiculous.
that's
all of
your
this.
actions that are depriving.
No, it isn't.
Pardon?
I've been assaulted. Look at the state of me.
Yeah.
Well, that's your own fault for not cooperating, isn't it?
You assault people if they try and just say, look, I'm innocent, and just let me just come with
Mr. Hill,
dignity.
Mr.
You
Hill.
assault them terribly, do you? You've assaulted me terribly. Absolutely terribly.
Listen, Mr. Hill.
This is like, I hope it gets on TV. I hope somebody films this.
We are trying to talk to you and you're
No,
talking over to
you're
us,
going to get
okay?
sued
I am
to
trying to
Kingdom
explain
Cup.
to you.
You're not explaining to me.
Wait, no, because you're talking
This
over me.
is so
Will you
handled
listen
well,
to
isn't
me?
it?
You're talking over me, so I can't talk, okay?
I'm not listening because I've done
So I'm
nothing
trying
wrong.
to,
You've
okay,
assaulted me
and
terribly.
I'm not saying you've done anything wrong.
You've
but
hurt
that's
my arms.
right.
I'm going to even function. My little arms are shaking. I'm going to need hospital care. I need to go to hospital. I need to be admitted into hospital now.
We've
You're
got a
giving me a
medical
virtual
pick. They can help
breakdown.
you and they'll be able to tell you if you need to go to hospital or not.
It's mental as well. You've tortured me mentally. I can't cope.
Right.
You've absolutely destroyed me
Mr. Hill,
mentally.
let's get you stood
physically.
up because it's
No.
cold and you're shaking.
I'm not leaving this place. You'll have
You
to kill
are,
me
though.
to leave.
Well, we're going to have to carry you, aren't we?
No, you're
And
going to
that's
have to
just
kill
causes more
me.
of a scene. Well, we're not going to kill you, are we? That's just silly.
Well, you're trying to deprive me of oxygen. You broke my arms.
You've refused to get off
You
the floor,
resisted
Mr.
arrest
But I
and
just
didn't
stopped you
cooperate.
assaulting me. I had to stop
We're
to
going
stop
round
you
in
hurting
circles now.
me.
We're not going to argue any further.
You tried to hurt me. You broke my arm. You put these cuffs on too tight. That's assault. You've assaulted me.
Come on.
No.
We get.
No.
Mr. Hill, no, do not kick it.
No.
Goodness. So you've pushed yourself back on the floor again and put your face in the
You're
mud.
hurting my leg. I can't
Mr.
breathe.
Hill.
You're pushing on my stomach. I can't
You're
breathe.
laying on your stomach. Stop biting. Stop biting.
Mr. Hill. Oh, Mr. Hill. Come on.
Oh, please help me, somebody. This is like that Floyd. This is an assault. This is like that George Floyd in America. They've hurt my neck. They've hit me.
no one is
They've
on
kicked
your
me in the
neck.
stomach.
No one is on
This is like Joynes. I've had 9 people assaulting me. My legs are bleeding. I want photographs of my whole body. I want a lawyer. I want a lawyer.
Don't be ridiculous. Out the way.
You're gonna have to kill me.
Absolutely ridiculous.
You're gonna have to kill me.
Don't be so stupid.
No, you're gonna have to kill me. You're gonna have to kill me. I've done nothing wrong. You've just ruined my whole life.
I've got one if you need.
Yeah, we're gonna go rear. You've just ruined my whole life.
I've got the cuffs, don't worry.
Mate, there's an opportunity to walk out of here with some dignity. Do you want that?
Don't
You guys happy to have these off,
dignity.
yeah?
It's you that's
It's
got
attached
dignity. You've
to you.
assaulted me. How dare you say about dignity?
You got a kit.
Right, we're going to go rear.
Back to back, guys. 'cause
Greg.
we're
Yeah.
back to back.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to
We'll
kill
leave
me.
this until we get him on this front, mate.
And then
Ready?
you take
It's coming
off, mate.
Well, we will go next door.
Right,
Go in.
We'll leave you back.
do you want me to come around this side and do this one? We're going to either have to sit
sit him up to get
Mr. Hill, is there anything we can do to make this process easier for you?
Me.
We're not assaulting you. Are you going to sit up and comply with the instructions we are given?
I'm frightened.
You don't need to be frightened.
Has anyone got another cuff to put on here and it'll be easier around his back?
I can't feel my wrist. I can't feel my body. I'm so cold. It's 2 degrees temperature.
No.
2 degrees.
Yeah, that's why we want to get you off
You
the
could have
floor,
just come
Mr.
into school
Hill.
to speak to me. You are wrong, and I'm sorry. This is wrong.
Let's go!
Let's go!
Shut up, shouting. Not gonna work.
We'll use the buttons, get it arm out.
Mr. Hill.
Mr. Hill, move your arm.
No, you just hit me.
I did not hit you.
My ribs. You've hurt my ribs.
Right.
No one's on you, Mr. Hill. Everything is on camera.
Right, let's get him.
With a button.
Let's get him set up.
You had that button out, you liar.
Right, let's get him set up.
Sit him up, mate.
Stop bending my fingers.
Mr. Hill.
Then.
Are you going to let go?
No, because you've insulted me. You're frightened.
Ready?
I'm frightened. I'm frightened.
Come on.
I'm frightened.
Mr. Hill.
Scissors.
Mr. Hill, do not kick out, otherwise you'll be getting done for assault police.
You're assaulting me. I'm doing you for assault. What's that?
Listen to me.
Shut up, be bearded.
Listen to what I'm saying.
Don't
okay,
spit in my face.
No one's spitting.
You just spit in my face.
Listen to me. The best you could do, okay, is to what will help you do, like, move your hand and spit on me.
I haven't. You pulled grass on my face. I never spat. You pulled grass.
Did he just spit on you?
Roll him over.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. There we go. Right, somebody needs to stay in the back. Leon, who are you with? Who's going to...
I'm by myself.
By myself, right. Let me come out. Right, and then we just need someone here.
If this video has gripped you, I recommend you to watch this one next. I'll meet you there.